Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today. I am a little under the weather today. Today, I yesterday I was just completely dead in bed, could not move. As you can tell, I am still nasally. I have no sense of smell or taste. um, it's been rough, but I am bored, and I'm feeling better though, like physically. Although my senses aren't all the way there, I still only am about, I'd say, 15% smell and taste. I can barely smell or taste anything, but I wanted to learn. My brain is feeling better. So I wanted to learn. I wanted to continue on with Python Crash Course today to warm up and then move on to the task tracker problem that I've been working on, project, and to solve a couple of problems with some bugs that I've been going on with the current version. So we're on Python Crash Course Part 2. And so let's go ahead and going to make a repo here. Not a repo, but I need to go here. New terminal folder. Let's code this guy. Right. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. So I will just go ahead and delete this guy, and then we're here. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with the Python crash course. I'm going to pull up the uh, PDF of it. All right, here it is. This is on page 225. Let's drag this over. We're on part 2 here. Nice. All right, let's go ahead and really quick, I want to check on the Oregon duck. Killed him. Nice. All right. Let's go on do not disturb here. Cool, so let's zoom in to this guy. And then we'll bring this over. Nice. So let's go ahead and get started here. So congratulations. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. Just a little bit wider. I'll zoom in one more time. Like so. Perfect. Okay. So congratulations, you now know enough about Python to start building interactive and meaningful projects. Creating your own projects will help teach you new skills and solidify your understanding of the concepts introduced in part 1. Part 2 contains 3 kinds of projects. You can choose to do any or all 3 of these projects in whichever order you like. Here's a brief description of each project. Alright, so I believe I am going to I'll just go ahead and go in order. I think that's probably, I want to do them all, so why not just go in order here? Okay, chapter 12, a ship that fires bullets. Let's build a game called Alien Invasion. We'll use Pygame, a collection of fun, powerful Python modules that manage graphics, animation, and even sound. making it easier for you to build sophisticated games. With Pygame, handling tasks like drawing images to the screen can focus on higher level logic of dynamic games. So this one uses Pygame. So chapters data visualization is 15 and 16. I think I'd rather start with that one. I know I said I wanted to just do them all, but okay, I'm starting with chapter 15. Right? Data visualization. Data visualization is the use of visual representations to explore and represent patterns in data sets. It closely associated with data analysis, which uses code to explore patterns and connections in a data set. A data set can be a small list of numbers that fits in a single line of code, or it can be terabytes of data that include many different kinds of information. Creating effective data visualizations is about more than just making informations look nice. When representations of a data set is simple, when a representation of a data set is simple and visually appealing, its meaning becomes clear to viewers. People will see patterns and significance in your data sets that they never knew existed. Fortunately, you don't need a supercomputer to visualize complex data. Python is so efficient that with just a laptop, you can quickly explore data sets containing millions of individual data points. These data points don't have to be numbers. With the basics you learned in the first part of this book, you can analyze non-numerical data as well. People use Python for data-intensive work in genetics, climate research, political and economic analysis, and much more. Data scientists have written an impressive array of visualization and analysis tools in Python, many of which are available to you as well. One of the most popular tools is Matplotlib. Matplotlib. Um, a mathematical plotting library. In this chapter, we will use Matplotlib to make we will use Matplotlib to make to make simple plots such as line graphs and scatter plots. Then we'll create a more interesting data set based on the concept of a random walk, a visualization generated from a series of random decisions. We will also use a package called Plotly, which creates visualizations that work well on digital devices. To analyze the results of rolling dice, Plotly generates visualizations. These visualizations can also include a number of interactive features, such as emphasizing particular aspects of the data set when the user hovers over an independent parts of the visualization. Learning to use Matplotlib and Plotly will help you get started visualizing these kinds of data you're most interested in. Okay. Installing Matplotlib. To use Matplotlib for your initial set of visualizations, you'll need to install it using pip, just like we did with PyTest in chapter 11. Okay, so we'll just do, so we want to go here. Where's our terminal? Okay, here we go. So we want to pip install Matplotlib. You have installed your I thought I had a path here. There's my virtual environment. Okay. so we got our virtual environment. To install Matplotlib, enter the following command as terminal prompt. If you use a command other than Python to run programs or start such Python, like this. Okay, to see the kinds of visualizations we can make with Matplotlib, visit Matplotlib homepage and click Plot Types. When you click on Visualization in the gallery, you'll see a code used to generate the plot. Okay, whatever. Plotting a simple line graph. Let's plot a simple line graph using Matplotlib and then customize it to create more informative data visualization. We use the square number sequence 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25 as the data for the graph. To make a simple line graph, specify the numbers you want to work with and let Matplotlib do the rest. So this was data visualization. What is the path to VN versus the dot VN? When creating work on the version runs Python, choose between path. So we're going to go pip install PyTest. This will install into our virtual environment. So now we should have Matplotlib PyTest. Yep. Okay. Cool. So we got our virtual environment set up. Hello, everybody. I'm working on the Python Crash Course project, final one of the projects in the back, generating data and visualizing data. So I'm just going ahead in here. We're gonna do a data visualization. Okay, so we're gonna come here. Okay, perfect. So let's plot a simple line graph using Matplotlib and then customize it to create a more informative data visualization. We'll use the square number sequence 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25 as the data for the graph. To make a simple line graph, specify the numbers you want to work with and let Matplotlib do the rest. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this. Take the terminal, let's put the terminal back down into here. Bring this down. Let's create a new file in here called plot.py. Right, so we're gonna do import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. Okay, so squares is equal to a list, right, of 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Fig alt or fig ax equals plot dot subplots ax dot plot squares, right? Plot plt dot show and run. Nothing happens here. We first import pyplot model using the alias PLT. Oh, okay, so it just generates it after a while here. Interesting. Oh wow, okay. So we first import the pyplot module using the alias PLT, so we don't have to use type pyplot repeatedly. You'll see this convention often in online examples, so we'll use it here. The pyplot module contains a number of functions that help generate charts and plots. We create a list called squares to hold the data of the plot, right? Then we follow another common matplotlib convention by calling subplots function. So we call subplots onto plt.subplot, so a method here of the class, right? Then we follow another common matplotlib convention by calling subplots function. This function can generate one or more plots in the same figure. The variable fig represents the entire figure. Okay, this should be fig, right? So the area fig represents the entire figure, which is the collection of plots that are generated. The variable ax, right, represents a single plot in this figure. This is the variable we will use most of the time when defining and customizing a single plot. We then use the plot method, which tries to plot the data it's given in a meaningful way. Plot method here on ax, which is the single plot, okay? Which tries to plot the data it's given in a meaningful way. The function plt.show opens matplotlib's viewers and displays the plot as shown in figure 15.1. The viewer allows you to zoom and navigate the plot, and you can save any plot images you like by clicking the disk icon. Changing the label and line thickness. Although the plot in figure 15.1 shows that the numbers are increasing, the label type is too small and the data is too thin to read easily. Fortunately, matplotlib allows you to adjust every feature of a visualization. We'll use a few of the available customizations to improve this plot's readability. Let's start by adding the title and label the axes. So we have in subplots here, x.plot squares line width equals 3, right? So x.set title squares numbers font size equals 24. X.set x label quote value with a second argument of font size 14. X.set y label square of value font size equals 14 for this guy as well. So ax.tick underscore params label size equals 14. So now if we run this code, set y label like that. Now we get this, so it's a little bit bigger now, and we get labeled axes. Okay, cool. So the line width parameter controls the thickness of the line that the plot generates. Okay. Once a plot has been generated, there are many methods available to modify the plot before it's presented. The set title method sets an overall title for the chart. The font size parameter, which appeared repeatedly through the code, controlled the size of the text and various elements of the chart. The set X label and set Y label methods allow you to set a title for each of the axes. And the method tick parameters styles the tick marks. Here, tick param sets the font size of the tick marks on labels to 14 on both axes. As you see in figure 15.2, the resulting chart is much more readable. The label type is bigger and the line graph is thicker. It's often worth experimenting with these values to see which works best in the resulting graph. Correcting the plot. Now that we have read the chart better, we can see that the data is not plotted correctly. Now that we can read the chart better, we can see that the data is not plotted correctly. Notice that the end of the graph that the square of 4.0 is shown as 25. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because it's index. So, yeah, okay. When you plot a single sequence of numbers, it assumes the first data point corresponds to a value, x value of 0. But in your first point corresponding to an x value of 1, we can override the default behavior by giving plot both an input and output values used to calculate the squares. So input values, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. And then ax.plot input values and squares, right, in line width. Now a plot doesn't have to make any assumptions about how the output number were generated. The resulting plot and figure is shown. Right. You can specify a number of arguments when calling plot and using a number of methods to customize your plots after generating them. We'll continue to explore these approaches to customization as we work with more interesting datasets throughout this chapter. Using built-in styles. Matplotlib has a number of predefined styles available. These styles contain a variety of default settings for background colors, grid lines, line widths, fonts, font styles, and more. Font sizes and more. They can make your visualizations appealing without requiring much customization. To see the full list of available styles, run the following lines in your terminal session. Give me this guy. That didn't work. Huh. Whatever. To use any of these styles, add one line of code before calling subplots. Okay. So we'll say plot style dot use quote Seaborn. Hey chicken, how you doing, dude? So if we run that, that should give us is not available. Is not a valid package style. Path of style, URL style, number name. Style not available. Okay, so this code generates the plot and print with the very styles is available. Yeah, I have no sense of smell or taste still, so it kind of makes eating a bummer. It's pretty sucks, but it's slowly starting to come back. I about I'd say 10 to 15% back. Um, Plotting. Okay, so I'm kind of over this. Let's go ahead and pull up the task tracker. The task tracker. Okay. All right. So this is what I put in. This is what I put in before I got sick. So I have a couple of commits here, or not commits, just changes that I made. Um, Up here, I added in date time in here, right? And then I added in a global variable called expired tasks. Now, this is just an empty list that when the program gets ran, will be populated with all of the empty expired or overdue tasks that are found when the program is ran. So in our main function here, which is just to run the system, to enter the system or not, um, we are given the user, they enter the one or two to enter in, right? And then, so I'm just going to go like this just to keep this. Right, so I can see it. And then if user enters in 1, we're going to load the task file like normal. Nothing changes with that. But then we added in this update days to complete function, and then we have check expired tasks function. So the update days to complete this might be harder than I thought to talk out loud for a few hours. I'm still feeling a little rough in my throat, but I'll keep going as long as I can. All right, so the update days to complete logs the current date, right? It logs in the current date that the program was opened. Um, uh, I'll just say date current. right? So it logs the current date and then edits the days to complete attribute for each task according to the date that the program was opened / ran, according to the current date, right? Chicken said, I tried Python on Windows last night. It was really pain in the ass. What do you mean? Why was it difficult? What was hard? Did you run it in VS Code or what was difficult about it? Maybe I can help. Although I'm on Mac, but it's all pretty similar if you're in VS Code and such. So we get the current date, and then we loop through all the tasks in our task list that are in there, right? Um, and then for every task in the task list in our for loop, we want to update the task days to complete by taking the due date and then subtracting the date current. Um, so then I'm going to task.days to complete equals task. Uh, I'm going to use this function here to convert it, and then I'll just say 0 here, right? So no, that's not what I wanted to do. Because I had a sticky note with my thought process over here from a late night when I was just sitting watching TV and I was thinking of something. So when I'm about to set it up, I didn't really know how. I just downloaded Python and that's just it. So just download VS Code from Microsoft and then use the extensions bar and download Python from here with the debugger, Pylance. I think it'll download those automatically. But definitely download those from here, and then everything should be pretty straightforward with working in your IDE. Okay, so um, I just don't know if I'm doing this portion right. So the days to complete, right? If this has 5 days to complete, which means it's due 5 days from now, the 14th, and I open this up on the 12th, so that means that the days to complete is now. Um, okay, so let's put a hypothetical. Let's say that I create the task on the first of the month. I set the due date for the 5th, so it'd be 5 days to complete. Um, right. I open up on the 3rd, which would be the due date would be like November 5th. I open it up on the 3rd, November 5th minus the 3rd would be the days complete would be the new days complete would be 2 days, right? Exactly. So then I need to convert the days to complete. This is in a date format, right? I need to convert this days to complete how to convert a time delta element back into an integer. To convert a time delta object back in an integer, you can choose a specific time unit and then convert it accordingly. Here's how you convert it into seconds, humans, or hours. So time delta hmm. Um, I am taking the difference of two date time objects resulting in a day format. When you take the difference of two date time resulting time delta will have a day's attribute and the remaining durations of seconds. If you need the total difference as a single integer in a specific unit, you can use the total seconds to convert the time delta integer seconds, then further to convert if needed. Hours. Convert the integer into days, already an integer in days attribute. Days equals time difference, time underscore difference dot days. Okay, so task dot days to complete dot days. Time difference. But no, this is not good. That won't work though. Total seconds method. Like that? No, that wouldn't work either. It's not giving me highlight anything. So, how did I do it in my class over here? Time delta days equals days to complete. Time delta days equals task dot days to complete. Only time for time delta. So we convert so if I'm trying to figure out the conversion of from a time delta object back into an integer based on days. So I did it here earlier. I said the date due. So this is setting days to complete integer into a time delta object. So I don't want to do that. I want to do the inverse. So how can I need to write here, I need to convert this variable let's do dot days. Let's ask more about that. The dot days attribute of time delta objects gives the number of whole days in the difference between two time delta objects. Yeah, okay, so do I just say like dot days? Like so? Would that work? Okay, so then I don't even know. Okay, let's just leave it. So I'll put a comment here. Convert time delta object back days remaining into int. So hopefully that did that. So if right now, if I open up this file, it should say that that my code task is overdue. It's past due, and then so update. So it does that, right? It updates that attribute for every task, and then in check expired tasks. Pardon me. Again, I'm sick. I have no sense of smell or taste right now. I've been having a bad case of the flu. So after we update the days to complete attribute, um, we check the expired tasks. We check for expired, so we loop again for all the tasks in our task list. If the task days to complete is less than 0 here, right? Because we converted it here. If the task days complete is less than 0, we want to remove the task and then append it to our global list. And then we just print the expired tasks. So let's see what happens if we run this. Hey, Sad the Bad, thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming in and leaving some words. Hope you feel better. Thank you so much for the kind words. Yeah, I've got a nasty flu. I had to stay home from work on Friday. I was just stuck in bed, but I can't taste or smell anything. It's really rough, but I'm feeling better today, so I wanted to try to get some work done here. So if I go ahead and run this, we want to keep an eye. This code task should become expired and be removed, and then this task so the thing is though is when I load the task file, so load task file, I set the days to complete, and this automatically when I create the object right here in this line. By any chance, is this PyCharm or is this VS Code? This is VS Code right now. So when I create the object for the task, what's happening is that the parameters by default are just the title and the days to complete. There is no optional parameter to set the days to or the date created, right? That gets set automatically via this right here. So what we need to do is add in an optional parameter that can be provided called date created, and this is going to equal this is going to equal none right at the start, right? So we take in a date created optional parameter, right? It's going to be none. Um, how do I want to do this? So the date created, I want it's optional, right? So the user can either specify um, a how do I want to do this? Hello to those that are in here. My name is Michael. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just working on the task tracker repo project that I've been working on. I pushed this project so far to GitHub, so if you want to go check it out, feel free. I have that link on my channel, I believe. But or you can just ask for it, and I'll put it here if you can't find it. I can't remember where I put it, but uh, yeah, I'm currently adding in it works for tasks to be loaded on the same day, but I'm trying to add in a feature to where the tasks updates and their due dates are updated when the user opens the file on a new day. Um, so that's what I'm currently working through. So the current shipped code or pushed code to GitHub right now just accounts for current day work. Obviously, things save and load, but when tasks are loaded back in, they're currently being loaded in as if they were created on that day with this attribute here. Could you set the GitHub link in the description? Yes, let me go ahead and do that. GitHub. Task tracker. Copy. Let me go to YouTube here, put it in the description. Can I edit the description here while I'm live? Yes. GitHub. All right, there is that for you. Also, feel free to join the Discord on my community page. There's a link to the Discord where we all collaborate, and I take polls talking about work I can do on the stream and for resources that people would like me to study, and we can all work through together. So feel free to join the Discord. That link is on the community page on my channel. Okay, so the date created when a task is made. You're given a title by default of task title, unless the user overrides it. And by default, date created is going to be given this time delta object, I believe, right? By default. And then we'll set this to date created. So, but the user... that means they have to provide this. No, so I don't want to do that actually. I want to leave it as a blank string or none, right? So that they don't have to put something in here. Um, um, so if date created, let's say, so if date created is equal to, So if there is a date created, actually, right? Um, we'll say, I guess I have to do a string. Hello, Kevin M. How are you doing, dude? Okay, so sad the bad. Let me catch up on some chat here. It says, uh, wish I had a Python class that I'm currently in school for C++, lol. You should just do the Harvard CS50P course or just watch some of the videos on my channel. The Harvard CS50P course is pretty good. I did that one. Um, thanks. That's so that way people don't have to keep asking you for the link. Oh yeah, got you. Kerwin M says, how long have you been teaching yourself Python? Do you have any programming knowledge? No, I didn't have any knowledge before this. I've been teaching myself for about 5-6 months now. Started at the beginning of June 2024. Completed CS50 at the end of the summer, and now I'm just doing some independent projects and studying and further, uh, building on skills in Python. I don't really want to transition to other languages yet because I really want to get a kind of mastery of this one. So if they provide a date created, so we'll need to just do a blank string here, right? That's just how I'll have to do it. If they provide a date created, we want, so if date created is equal to, quote, past, right? We want to, I'll just say pass here. Uh, else if not date created, right? We'll do that. So what do we want to say here? If they provide past for the date created, meaning that it was given in the past, if we load tasks, this saves these into dates. Are they read as strings? I think these are strings, right? Thanks for subscribing, Kerwin. I appreciate it. I'd love to talk to you more, and thank you for your kind words. And hopefully, we can, keep staying in contact and communicate throughout these streams. But it's been going good. I have just been really independent and seeing it as a fun process of learning. I'm not trying to stress myself out with, rushing through things, and I'm not putting my pressure on myself to be employed off of this. I'm learning this to gain additional skills, to not everything is to make money or to it can be fun, and it can be to learn new things and challenge myself, and also if it happens to lead to making money and work down the line, then awesome. But that's not my goal right now. I really want to just learn and challenge myself. So if they provide a past argument, no. So if there isn't any, we want to do this, right? If not date created given, we want to use the current date. I wonder if I can let me go back here. Let me take this off. remove this. What happens if I just go here and put in here that date created is equal to, okay, so that does take in that task. Date created would be not row 0, not row 1, but row 2, right? So let me take this, just to keep order here. So date created equals row 2, right? So we'll skip the header, right? And then from that point, for every row in the reader, if we'll set the flag to true if found. So this try to set the variable date created to row 2, and then do date created here, right? So now date created we got some chats here. Sorry guys, let me get caught up. Have you ever attempted trying LeetCode? I tried just one LeetCode problem, and I don't know. I found it to not really be what I was interested in. It seemed like that was obviously that is probably the way you want to code and eventually get to, but I just found that, you know, by skipping to the most efficient way of doing things, I was, you know, doing the correct method and the most effective method towards completing the problem at hand, but I was also wasn't learning all of the methods in between and the stair steps to get to completing to using the final method. So I was using the correct and most efficient method, but by learning from the solution, but I didn't know why that was the most effective method or efficient method in terms of programming. And I felt that that was the real problem with that, and with trying to, you know, push and learn that at the moment. So that's why I wanted to further break down these bare bones concepts in these projects and, you know, books and stuff, so that I can learn those things, and so that when I attempt to do LeetCode again, I don't need to struggle really understanding why that answer is the answer, if that makes any sense. He would have to dive into the basics. Yeah, exactly. Um, exactly as Kerwin said, I'd have to learn about DSA. I mean, I know some basics, you know, loops and things like that, but like what he said with DSA, it's all about efficient methods and efficiency and sorting through data and stuff like that. If I am recalling correctly, and I'm just not there yet in terms of my skill set. I'm still trying to understand these bare bones concepts, and I'm not ashamed to be humble and just to put my pride aside and say that I'm not there yet, because I want to take this at a good pace, and I don't want to feel overwhelmed. Because if you get overwhelmed and you struggle, um, oftentimes you'll just give up. People aren't designed to be super uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is good, obviously, and it helps you grow, but if you go too far, you'll just quit. So I don't want to get to that point. Community college majoring in computer science. That's super awesome. Community college. I went to a state school. I have a bachelor's in human biology and chemistry. I'm currently a formulation chemist in a pretty large environment here in the United States, on the West Coast, and yeah, it's been good. And I'm trying to, you know, further some skills here with some programming, and hopefully I can incorporate that into my work. All right, so the date created is equal to a blank string, right? If So if not a date created, right? If the user does not provide a date created in the argument, we want to go ahead and do this. Um, Else, if they do provide an argument, well, we're going to have verify that that argument is valid. If date created, so if there is a date created, we'll initially pass, right? We'll set this up this way. Else, we will just date created. Oh shoot, let's take that back. Right, like here, pass. So if the user provides a date create, we need to use some sort of verification method to that it is a proper date in this format: year, month, day, with 2 digits, 4 digits, and hyphens in between. So maybe we can import some sort of regular expression right here. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. So let's go and say incorp some sort of regex to verify that the user input date created is accurate, right? But if they don't provide in a date created, if this is left blank, we want to go ahead and assign the current day, right? Hey Aqua, how you doing? Thanks for jumping in. All right. Sad the Bad said, while having a part-time job to help me pay for some ramen noodle cups while I code. Oh, yeah, exactly. You might as well study bioengineering. Oh, yeah, I have. I don't know. Whatever. I would like to go back to school eventually. Maybe. I don't know. I kind of in just in limbo right now, I guess. Currently implementing Aqua a date created detection, so I can have the program run on a new day or later date, and have the tasks update their due dates accordingly. So got you. Okay, so the we create the day, and then we create the task with the date created now, right? So now the user will be able to create a task either by just providing these two parameters, the task title or the days to complete. You do have to provide that, or you can also override the date created format. So it's going to read these and put these as the values for date created. Okay, so then hear me out. When we run this method, right? When we actually run this, so we load the task right there. We run the method that reads the files, and then we update the days to complete. So we get the current date that the program was opened, right? For every task in our list, we want to set the days to complete to that difference between the due date and the current date to get the new days to complete updated. And then we want to, this is giving us a time delta object via the date time, right? It's a date minus a date gives us 0 months, 1 day, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. That's how it formats it. And so I want to convert that with this dot days from date time. Hopefully that works. I'm not sure if this is going to work. That's why I have this comment here. So then, once we convert the, it'll read these dates, and then it'll convert the date to complete based on um, the due date and the current date that the program was opened. Um, and then So then we move on to checking the expired tasks. So we loop again through every task in our list. If the days to complete is less than 0, which means it's passed, it's negative, we want to remove it and append it to our expired tasks global variable. And then we'll just display the expired tasks with this, right? Um, so we'll say while true, we want to, if expired tasks for, no, I don't want to do that actually. So let's just try this out. I'm not sure, it might just clear out because run sys will clear terminal as soon as it's called here. So it's not going to run the system. So I'm actually going to just comment this out. So it doesn't move on to run system here. It will pause. So now let's go ahead and see if this works. So we got to keep an eye on this file. This file should update. The days to created should not update to today's date, to the 9th. It should remain 11.5 and 11.5. The only thing that should update is the days to complete. This should become negative and be removed. And this should become, what is it, 6 days or something like that? Whatever it is, 5 days, 4 days? Okay, so let's try it. Boom. Okay, my globals got messed up. What happened to my globals? Oh, line set. No, it happened. Something got deleted here. Oh, it doesn't like this. Let me bring these back. Like so. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so if we press 1 here, it should update these tasks, right? So let's go ahead and keep an eye on these. Okay, so we're getting errors. Task has no attribute date created. Kerwin says, I noticed in your GitHub there's an Odin repo. Did you ever? I got about halfway through and I haven't finished yet, but I plan on finishing sometime. I just have a bunch of partial projects that I haven't completed yet. So, what's this saying? So, the attribute error task has no attribute date created. But it does, I thought. So I have date created here, attribute. Okay, so if self.date created, self.date created, if they don't provide it, equals that. Okay, so now let's try that. Let's go back. We want to keep open this, and then we want to keep an eye on this guy. So if we run here with 1, okay, no attribute date created. Uh-oh, this is going to be annoying. So we create, right, in line 49. Date created. Okay. Is equal to date created. Sorry, I'm forgetting that. Okay. So now if we clear this guy and run here, tasks, and then we press enter. Okay, we're getting a different error now. Okay, we're making progress. So type error can only concatenate string, not date time dot time delta to string. So this is happening in our task tracker here. Let me go ahead and bring this guy over here. So in you guys are watching, feel free to subscribe to the channel and follow along so we can stay in contact in my later streams. I would love to communicate with you guys, and feel free to join the Discord so we can talk offline and share resources. So date time to string in line 154 of the task class. Okay, so it's trying to set the date due. So it's setting the date due is equal to, so in main load task file. It's trying to do that. It's trying to create the objects. Self.date due is equal to task days to complete. Self.date created. Can only concatenate string, not date time. So it's reading these elements as a string, and then what it's trying to do is in my set date due method, it's trying to take that string right here and concatenate it with a with the a string here, that string with a time delta element. So I need to convert this days to complete into a time delta of date time dot date right there, right? So we'll create the date, use the date method to create the date from the string if it is a string. So I think I might need to put a condition here. So if self dot date created is equal to a stir, or is stir, we want to run this, right? Else we want to run the same function but just without the conversion, because the date created is already a time delta. Dot I don't think that'll work actually. So if I run task tracker here, run, yeah, it's not working either. So that date takes the days to complete integer and converts it to a days time delta object. So it would be time delta, we need to convert to dot like that. No. So I'm trying to figure out if the object's date created is in a string format when it's initially read, right? If it's initially taken in and it's a string, no. So the days to complete. So this is a string, and this is a date time delta object. So we'll ask how to convert a string date into a date time object, right? To convert a string date into a date time object in Python, you can use the strip time method from the datetime module. Here's an example. Datetime, strip time, date string, year, month, object. Okay, strip time. So date. Why does it do this? I hate how it does this sometimes. Okay, so here we need to do date time and then dot strip date. Was it stripped? Date time dot strip time. Date time dot strip time. strp time with the object date created, and then a quote percent year dash percent month dash percent the. Why did it turn blue there? Date time dot strp time. Okay, so now let's try this. Hey Vanish, thanks for coming in, dude. Appreciate you. El Doxito, thanks for coming in, bro. Appreciate you coming in. How you doing? Yeah, let me go ahead and put the Discord link onto the GitHub right now, or onto the stream. Invite people. Copy. Okay, let me go ahead and put this in the stream here. Discord. Alright, there you go. I have it saved there for you. Feel free to join the Discord to connect offline. So I think, okay, so let's try this now. Run. So now if we press 1 here, we get an error. Okay, date ham has no attribute strip time. Date time doesn't have attribute strip time. Yeah, GPT's failing me here. Date time dot strip time. Strip. So strp time. Why isn't this working then? Anyone know why my strip time's not working here? Attribute error, daytime has no attribute. Strip time error usually happens if the datetime module is overwritten by a variable or class named datetime somewhere in your code, which prevents actual access to actual datetime module. Make sure you haven't actually named a variable class file as datetime. No. Import datetime. Import datetime time delta. Why? It's just not working. Where was I? Why won't this work? So, I can't. Come on. Equals datetime dot strip time self dot date created plus time delta days complete. I don't have any naming conflicts. I don't have any. You don't have naming conflicts, but you're still seeing attribute error. Datetime is no attribute strip time or a few other troubleshooting steps. Time delta. Okay, let's try that. Test. What? Oh, from datetime import datetime. What? Why? Import datetime. Let's say from date time import datetime. Will that work now? Now it works. What? Okay. Okay, I guess I just didn't import it correctly. So now, version D. So now if I, let me just delete this. Now if I run, enter. Okay. Unsupported operand for date time. Okay, update days to complete. Right here. So now it's having trouble here. So, task days to complete. Task date due minus date current. Unsupported operand types for datetime.datetime and datetime.date. Current date. So now, if what happens if what is this type error? It's obviously need to convert, I think. Indicates that you're trying to perform an operation between a datetime object and a date object, which isn't directly supported. To resolve this, you need to ensure that both objects are either datetime. Here's how I handle this: convert datetime date to datetime. If you have a datetime object, you need to add a datetime object. Combine date only, datetime in. Convert datetime to datetime.date. If you only have a datetime object but only need the date part, you can convert the date part. Okay, I only want the date part, exactly. So right now my due date is in date time. Okay, so it strips it into a date time object. Hey Giovanni, I'm using not using PyCharm, I'm using VS Code right now. All right, so import date time, so .date create equals. Okay, so in the task tracker here, this is a datetime object. This is a date object, and this is a date time object. So I need to convert the date time object into a date object. So how to convert a date time object into a date object. To convert a date time object into a date, you can use the .date method. Date part, date time object. Date time. So we'll convert that into a date time object. So set date due turns into a date time. Okay. So I don't want to do a date time. I want to keep everything in date object. So like that. Now, if I do the convert internally there, and I clear here, run 1. Okay, it's displaying, but it's repeating tasks now. No. Huh. So something's going on now. So now if I clear, I go back to here, I uncomment this. Why does the display expired tasks? Okay. So then if I clear this and run here, why am I getting an error now? So now if I run, okay. Okay, now if I exit, oh! We did it! Yo! We did it! We did it! Wow! Good job. Congrats, guys. Good job to us. That is crazy. So, you might have not seen what just took place there, but let me go ahead and bring back this task. So, right, what happens is it's going to, when I run this program, it's going to first scan all of the tasks, right? It's going to scan these. It's going to evaluate the the date created. It's going to say, okay, this already has a date created, so I'm going to fill in that date created. I'm going to then take in the date due, right? I'm going to also take in when the program was opened and subtract from the date due the program opened to get the new days to complete, right? If those days complete are 0, they will be removed from the program, right? So if I go ahead and run this, right? Right. Okay, let me go clear. Let's go run, right? So if I run, right, so when I press 1 here, I'm on this screen right here, which is this block of code right here, right? This is exactly where I'm looking right here, right, in this block of code. So if I press 1, I'm going to run this function, load tasks file, okay? And that can be found here. So load task file, with CSV reader, right, I read the CSV file, I skip over the header, I skip over the header, right here, right? I set a flag, so if the rows are found, right, I set it to false, meaning that it's blank. If there are rows, right, for every row in the reader, if there's rows, we'll set it to true, meaning that we found content, and then we set the task title to the row 0, which is this one, right? Code or title. We set date created to this date created section, which is not 1, 0, 1, but 2. And we set the days to complete to an integer conversion in slot 4, which is right here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in orange. Okay? And then we create those objects one by one, right? So I had to add in, before I was only creating objects with just a title and a days to complete. So I added in a date created option now, right? So the date created is a blank string, so it means it's an optional attribute that can be added and applied. So if there is a date created, we want to set the date created value to the assigned string that they put in. Now we need to incorporate some sort of verification to make sure that string is correct. But anywho, else, right, if this is blank and they don't provide it, we're going to just set the date created to the current date today, right? So next, what happens next? We update the task to complete, update days to complete task, right? So we have to think about it. When you open the program at a later date than you initially started it, let's say on this date, I loaded in all my tasks. Then on tomorrow or the week after, I opened it back up and I'm reading all my tasks. Well, based on the new date that I opened the program, those due dates are going to shift, right? So, or are going to become smaller. So, or closer because you're further in time. So we update the days to complete for each task. So right here, right, we log the current day, and then for all the tasks in our list, we want to go ahead and subtract the days to complete, the date due from the current date, right? And then that will be returned as the days to complete. And then what we do is this days method converts the time delta object days back into an integer value. So then we can directly see that this is 0. And then we can compare, right? Next on our list here is check expired materials. Now that we've updated the days to complete, if that days to complete is less than 0 or negative, that means it's an expired task. So in our check the expired tasks here, we'll loop through our tasks again. If, like I said, if the days to complete is less than 0, we'll remove the task and append it to a global expired tasks list, right? If the displayed expired, so then once we check those, and so that at this point, every expired task that's in our that would be expired is loaded into this global list here. And then we just display those tasks before we run system. So what I'm going to want to do is in my display expired tasks here, so we can get a better visual, I need to put in a prompt before we move on, right? So we want to say so while true, right? We want to do a while loop so we can continually prompting if expired tasks. If there are expired tasks, we'll go ahead and do this, else do this. Actually, I'll take this outside of my while loop. I'll paste it here. I'll keep this. I'm going to say while true, we want to user input is equal to inputs. We want to say press. Where's that? I think I have it here. to say, I have a prompt here I want to pull. Not clear tasks. It would be the view task list would be the filter task list. No. Display tasks. No. Let me see. No, I want to press Q to quit. Press Q to quit expired tasks view. Expired tasks view, right? So print that on a new line, right? New line here. We'll also print it on a new line here. So we'll press Q. If user input is equal to quote Q, or we want to break, right? Else continue. Cool. All right, so now when we display it, rather than getting kicked right out into our menu here, we should be able to see that our expired tasks, which one they are. So now let's go ahead and try this again. So I'll quit this and I'll clear out, and then I'll run here. Now I'll switch over to this tab so we can see the change happening in time. So what you should see, right, is this task that was created on 11/5/2024. The days to complete is 1, right? It has a date due of 11/6, right? But now it's 11/9, right? It's 11/9. So this date due should be updated into the negative. It won't show it on here, but it will visually show it in here, and then when we close, it'll save, and this will be removed. But this one here will be updated accordingly. So let's see here. So if we press 1 to enter, all right, so we get no expired so we get the, yeah, exactly, so we get the task here, expired 11/15/2024. So that's actually not working appropriately. Okay. So it's due, hold on, we're just got a little bit of a bug here. So when I'm viewing enumerate the expired task list, print the index value and the task plus the expired task due date. Right? So now task.title, right? Okay, perfect. So now let's try that. Now we have the right list that we're accessing here. Okay, so let's go back. Let's try this one more time. So let's check here and make sure it's happening right. So if we press 1 here, we should see code get popped up. Exactly. So expired task number 1 is task code expired on 11/6/2024. right? And then we have this no expired task being displayed here. For print that else, no, this needs to go back here, else print that while true. Perfect. So let's press Q, we'll exit, and as you can see, that updated and everything remained consistent, right? And then that changed to 6 days due because it's due the 15th. Woo! All right, guys. Yes. All right. Okay. All right. That is super awesome. Getting that good feeling where everything's working right. So let's just Control Z to get these back, or Command Z. So as you can see, the due date, task days to complete is updating correctly because this was loaded 4 days later, which means this was reduced 4 days. Awesome. All right, so just to show you guys that one more time, right, I'm going to run the program. Now, I hypothetically, I created all these tasks on 11/5/2024, right? I'm loading this program now on 11/9. So this task here should be expired. It expired a long time ago on 11/6, right? This task here does no longer has 10 days to complete, right? Because it has actually 6 days to complete because today's the 9th. It's 4 days from the date it was created, but 6 days from the date it's due, expired, right? Or date due. So this should be reduced down to 6. So now when I load in the list here, or when I run the program, I'm immediately shown all of the expired tasks right off the jump, right? That task was expired. And then I can press Q to quit, right? This loads me into my thing. I can add a new task. Let's put new task for example. And then let's put 100 days to complete this guy. So again, we have a little bit of, I thought this might happen. So I had to fix this bug. Apparently when I kind of messed up, I need to create an if condition for if you're creating a new, it's a conversion thing. So let me just, I'll fix that in a second. But let's go back here, right? So I press 1, I enter, I see that my number 1 task code is expired. I'll press Q and I'll exit the program to save the tasks. And as you can see, code is now removed and clean room is now updated to 6 days to complete, and the date created remains consistent and the due date remains consistent. And so the only thing now is the priority did not change. So I need to update the priority if the days to complete changes, right? So that's the next thing we need to adjust. But we also have this error we're getting where when we're trying to create new objects, we are incorrectly converting the date time format. So what it's doing is it's trying to set the date due, right here, based on the days to complete. And then the date due is assuming that the date created was provided, and it was in a datetime format. So we need to say if self dot date underscore created is equal to an int, right? We want to return, if it's an integer, the date created, meaning it's this. So if it's an int, right, meaning that it was pre-existing, we want to do this code, right? Else we want to run the same line of code, but we want to instead, we already know right, the date created is already a datetime delta object, a datetime date object, and that can be directly added to a time delta instance, right? So maybe we'll say elif self dot date created is equal to date so we want to check if the current status of the variable date time self dot date created is equal to the date time format. This will indicate if it is here, right? If it's in this format. If it's a string, it's going to do this, right? It's going to assign the string to here, and then try to, if it's an integer, going to go and do that, right? So now, if we go ahead and run this program, okay, we get this. So type error, descriptor date for datetime object doesn't apply to string object. Okay, so we'll just say else, I guess. Do that and return. So now if I run here, enter, no. So it's trying to create my objects, and it can't because it's setting the date due, and it can't complete so date created is not an integer. So which one is the string? No. It should say stir. So if the date created is equal to a stir, you want to do this. Right, okay, so now we'll clear this. right here. 1. No. Ah, bad. So, sorry guys, I'm trying to figure this out. So the user provides an object. They can provide it in the form of an integer, of a string. If they provide it in a string, okay, so if date created, it's assigning date created to this. Else self.date created equals datetime.date today. So if there is a date created equals today, which would be a string, else this returns a string as well. So let me see. Does this return a string? No, datetime did not return a string. It returns a date object representing the current local date in the format. If you want to convert it to a string, you can use the string format time method. So it returns a datetime object. So if it's a string, right? If the user is going to read the string and assign it, and then the date created is a string, so if the date created is a string, I'm trying to wrap my head around this bug. So when the user, if there's already tasks in, right, those get loaded in as strings and then they need to be converted into, okay, so I have a string date and I want to convert it into a datetime.date object, right? Right? If you convert a string over a datetime.date object, you use the datetime.strip_time method. .date. Okay, move that, move that. Date, convert that to date. What is it? Go blue, whatever. So if it equals a string, meaning that it was found previously, it was a preloaded, pre-existing task. We want to take the string so if we want to, I'm struggling here. slowing down my brain. If we want to set the date due, if they have pre-existing tasks and those are in the form of a string, right? We read them, the date created, as a string. If the date created is a string, right, meaning it was pre-existing, we want to convert the date created into a datetime element and then convert that to a datetime date so we can add it to this, right? Else, self.date created so what happens if we run this? I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, I get the same thing. You can only concatenate. I gotta paste the error here. Your error occurs due to trying to add time delta object to a string. Self.date created in your code. Self.date created is likely a string representation, a date, and you're attempting to add a time delta, which is a time difference, to it. Since you can't add a time delta to a string, you need to convert self.date to a datetime object before addition. Yeah, I know that. But I thought it's not a string. So if it is a string, do this. So we'll say elif self.date created is not equal, is not stir, right? Right. So why is it I don't like how it keeps formatting that. If self.date created is a string, say it does not equal stir. Is equal to stir. I don't know. No, I'm getting these errors still. So I need to convert, but I obviously know I need to convert this value here into a datetime object. I could easily just say datetime.date, right? But that's not, so what if I have, your method has a small issue with checking if self.date is how handling can, instead you should use is in this instance to if is instance, if is instance self.date to stir, we want to go here, else, right? Right, so now what happens if we run this? So no expired tasks. So let me go Command Z here, quit, or clear. Run here. So yes. Okay, we see our clean room is expired. Quit. Add task. Code 100. Okay, so this we're getting an error here. So this is now we're saying method descriptor object has no attribute, quote, today. So the method descriptor object has no attribute, quote, today. But does that take care of it? No. Add task. So dot date created. It does not like this. Dot today. Okay, so this is not working. Why? Um, see, how does it, what? Import date time. Okay, so now we have the today attributes for some reason. I don't know why you have to do import date time and then I'm getting date time. I don't get this at all, but whatever. It's a bunch of BS. So yes. Ugh. Import date time. Import CSV. So why? I don't get it. Why do I have to import so much? There you're encountering attribute error method. Your object has no attribute today. Suggests there's a conflict with how you're trying to use datetime not today. The issue is caused by overriding the datetime or datetime object with the variable, which is datetime not date no longer. So I'm saying these are my imports. Looks like you're importing datetime and time delta from datetime, which is mostly correct. However, if you intend to use datetime, you'll need to import the date class from datetime as well. Okay, so we'll do import datetime, time, delta, and date. Since datetime is imported, you can use both datetime.now and datetime.date.day. Okay, that was just that removal. So why is this not working? Looks like you're working on a classroom editing task and you're trying to set the date created to the current and not provide a couple of adjustments to make the code ensure it works right datetime.date. Since you're importing datetime but referring to datetime, you need to make sure you're calling it correctly. It should be datetime.today.date to get the current date or use datetime. What? To get the current date, or use datetime.date.today after explicitly importing the date class. Okay, so datetime.today.date. The dates complete equals int is considered a structure has a type int, but doesn't make sense to set it to int by default. Instead, you can have it set to default value like 5 or leave it to none. User should provide it. To date created, it's none. It's complete 0. Okay. So now, if we clear the issue, let's go bring back that, run this. So we should see expired tasks, clear. Now we should be able to add new task test 100,000 and view. We get it, main menu, edit task list, edit task property, that, title, new title, test, days to complete, 2 days to complete, main menu, view tasks, filter, priority 1, perfect, edit tasks, remove a task, remove that one, view, perfect, main menu, edit tasks, 4 main menu, 4 exit. Okay. Now that updated appropriately. Okay, cool. Awesome. So now what that's doing is the date created is none initially, right? So if there is a date created, if the user provides one, we're going to save that there as an int, as a string, right? So, and then to set the due date based on the date created, so the days to complete, right? If the days to date created is a string, right? If it's a string, Let's see if this is correct. Your set date due method is mostly correct, but there's a potential issue with how you're checking set self date created and converting it. Specifically, you're checking if self dot created is a string and then converting it to a date object, but this should only happen once, either in the init method or inside the set date due. If self dot date created is already a date object, if self dot date is already a date object, you shouldn't need to check or convert it again in the set date due method to ensure object handle the conversion. Handling the conversion of date created to a date time once its constructor in it, so it's always a date time object when the set due date is called. Simplify set due date method, assuming it's always a date time object. Okay, so that's a good idea. So if they provided a date created, we want to go ahead and try and set the date created, right? We want to take this guy, take this guy, delete. So we don't want to leave it up to here. We want to just automatically convert. Try to convert here. So try to convert self.date created into a date. Right? Try to do that. Except a if date created. So we need to, instead of, so we want to try right? So how about that? So it looks like you want to ensure that the date created string provided user is the correct format. You've been going to try except block, but there's more issues in try to try using the self.date created instead of the created. now. But in your current approach, you're attempting to parse the date created string, ensuring it's in a format, but you're not actually updating self-date with the parse date. You're directly assigning a raw string to self.date created even if the format is correct. To fix this, you should assign the parse date time date object to a self.date created inside the try block. So try date except a value error. Except a value error, right? Except if we get a value error, we're going to print incorrect date format, expected, yeah, right? And then pass. I don't want it to still. Right, so now you're trying to validate okay, so now if I run this, I press 1. So try, if there is a date created, try convert that date, that string into a format. So I'll just put this back actually, whatever. Okay, so if I went back to how I had it at the beginning, right, this works out all good, right? I can view all the tasks, I can add a task, right? I can view, I can do everything, right? That works perfectly as it is right now. Priorities aren't updating, so I need to add that change next. But, so right now, if it's a stir, so if there is a date created, right? It's a stir. So set the due date. We want a date time, strip time, date, right? And then self.date created equals date created. Right. Perfect, just like that. So now we can remove all of this from before. Right. So now if I run this guy, okay, now I break it. So why is it broken now? So it's trying to convert this. You can only kind of string. There is a date created. So if there is a date created, right? If they provide one, we want to convert it to a date format and then save that value. Else, do that. Days to complete. Actually storing the result in self.date created. Okay. That's right. So, right, is equal to that. So we want to try and assign this except for a value error, right? Print date pre-existing date created in correct format. Year, month, day, right? Pre-existing date created in exactly. Right, so we'll say pre-existing date created is in a correct format, right? So then, if we clear this, we run, yes. Okay, we get our expired task. We add a new task. Yes! Woo! Awesome, guys, we did it. So, I think that is probably going to do it for this study session and work over. This was very helpful. I was able to really go over the debugging process and work through my code and figure out where things are going wrong and understand potential issues. that might arrive. So let's just go ahead and quickly print, just paste this into here. Make sure it's all good. Your code is almost there. You're parsing it correctly. In case of you're printing a message, however, the date created is informing you're not doing anything to handle the situation further. Raising an exception. I don't want to set the date to today. Okay, so I guess we'll just keep it consistent. Right. So if the pre-existing date is in the incorrect format, then you're going to automatically set the um, fallback set date date created to current date. If okay, perfect. So if I go main menu and I quit, that updates appropriately. Great. So clear, awesome, and then let me Command Z here. Awesome. So just a quick recap of what we were able to complete today. So my goal for today's session was to incorporate some sort of system for if the file was um, opened to edit on a new day, a date in the future, right? On the first of the month, I loaded up my tasks. On the fifth of the month, I reopened the program to view those tasks. Now, I had no attributes or methods that would read the and adjust the due dates according to the date that the file was opened, right, in the future. So I went ahead and implemented that through these functions here. So the update days to complete takes in the current day, and then for all the tasks that we have currently pre-existing, we update the days to complete by just subtracting the date due from the current date, right? And then we return that format into using this dot days method um, back into an integer value of days to complete of 0, 1, 2, 3, so forth, so on. Rather than like quote 0 days. This right here without the days, this gives you like quote 0 2 days, right? A date time object, date object, whereby just days just extracts the days value from it, and then that's what we're saving as an integer, right? So and then once we update those, we check to see if any of those are expired. So if any of those days to complete are less than 0, right, meaning that they're past due, we remove them and we append them to the global expired tasks list, which is blank at the beginning of the program. So now that we have expired tasks, we just display those expired tasks at the with this function here, and then just loop through until the user specifies to move forward. So, and then in order to accomplish that, what we had to do was I added this attribute. So before, to create a task, you just had to add a title and a days to complete. Well, now you can add an optional parameter or attribute called date created, right? And so this is none by default. So if the date created is there, so if they have a date created, if they supplied one here, we would try to convert that string, right? This would be a string that they would provide. We would try to convert that string, the date created, into strip the time element out into a date time object, and then convert that strip time into a date object, right? It seems confusing because everything uses the word date and time and whatever, but just know that we're using the strip time method on the string that the user inputted in here for date created, and then we are converting it to this format, right? This date format, and then we're extracting the date from it. Okay. Um, so then we are, if there is no, if it's in the incorrect format, meaning that they didn't put years, month, date, uh, the we'll just throw an error saying that we could not convert this, right? And then if we'll have a fallback here. So else, right? If else if this is none, right? We didn't specify, meaning that it's a new um, it's a new task by default. You will just use the current date of today. So and then we had to, in our load tasks file, we had to add in this date created here to, when we load in those pre-existing tasks, they have that date created string associated with them in the file. And we have to take that string, convert it into that datetime object like we did above, and then read it from there. And then we just added in this part here to actually extract that that date created from this spot in the file, row column 2 or 3, right? Because it's index 0. So then we added in the set. The due date due doesn't change at all because we do the conversion handling in the initialization rather than in the function down below. And so now, no matter what, if the user provides a string, it gets converted into a datetime object. If they don't provide it, it's automatically a datetime object and can be done math on. So just to recap here for an example, as you can see, we have these two tasks in our task list. This first task, code, was made on 11/5. Well, both of these were made on 11/5, but code expires on 11/6. So this is, right now it's 11/9, so this is expired. So when we open this, this task should now say it's expired and be cleared out when we go ahead and save the program again and not be included if we view task while running. So to show this example, I'll go ahead and run the program, and we'll go ahead and press enter here. So right after I press 1 here, we should be visually displayed with all of the expired tasks. So I press 1, and boom, we are shown that task 1 code is expired, and expired 11/6/2024. So we can go ahead and quit the expired tasks view, and we are loaded into our program here. So we can confirm that that task was removed and appended to that expired global. We have no way of visually showing any more of the expired tasks, but we can check to see that it was removed appropriately by just viewing all the tasks now. And as you can see, the task code is no longer included. We are only seeing the clean room. So if I go ahead and just main menu and then exit with 4, our program saves, and that task, as you can see, is removed, which means it was not included in our tasks list. It was removed out of there and put in that expired task list. So everything is working appropriately, and we can also, I'll go ahead and Control Z to bring that example back. We can quit, and we can also appropriately add in new tasks into our menu here, and they get handled appropriately as well, right? So everything is working consistently from as it was before, but we've now added in a feature to where if you run the program on a new date later in the future, your tasks update for their due dates, and it can become expired now. So really awesome. Made a lot of progress in this 2 hours and 45 minutes that we worked on today. And in tomorrow, we're going to work on when we update these tasks, right? When these tasks get updated with their days to complete. So if I press main menu and I exit here, right, this gets saved. The days to complete gets appropriately adjusted for. This was that new task we created. Gets appropriately adjusted from 10 down to 6, right, because we're 4 days in the future from the date created. But the priority is not being changed appropriately. So we need to change the priority now, update priority for the new date that was occurred. So that will be what we will tackle next time or tomorrow. But for now, this was a good stopping place to go ahead and sign off for here. If there's any questions, feel free to ask. I am no problem, suggesting or answering questions about my journey so far, learning and teaching myself to program, using various online resources such as CS50, AI, books, especially books. I like books a lot. But feel free to subscribe and follow along to the channel to stay in communication, and we can work together in the future on future projects like an open source one I'm currently have an idea of. And also join the Discord. These links are found in the description. Join the Discord and we can, but let me go ahead and actually push this code to GitHub real quick. So git status, so git add, right, we'll add all here. Git add, git commit dash m, and then we'll say added feature allowing for task due date to update when program is ran on future date. Right, added feature allowing for task due dates to update when program is ran on a future date. For a task to now expire. Task can now expire in okay, that's fine. We'll just keep it like that. Add a feature allowing, I want to be sure, allowing tasks to expire. Future. Add a feature detecting expired tasks. So we'll git push this. All right, guys, so I went ahead and pushed this to GitHub. So you should be able to now pull the latest version to your clone and work with the latest features that we implemented for the task tracker. Now I know I haven't implemented the priority updates yet for this instance, but I will be doing that tomorrow. But if you want to get a feel for what we added today and follow along up to this point, feel free to pull those changes and implement them into your clone of my repo. Hey, what are you working on? I just got here. Hey, Destroy, sorry, tough timing. I'm about to sign off Destroy Lonely Leaks, but I would really appreciate it if you would follow along so we could stay connected. I'm going to stream tomorrow for quite a while, 3, 4, 5 hours tomorrow, and I'm going to be going over some more features, but I've created a task tracker basically, and today I implemented a way for tasks to expire when the program is ran in the future and has pre-existing tasks detected within its saved files. So now it works appropriately and is able to take those tasks. Not this tough muddy. I follow. What does tough muddy mean? You mean buddy? It's supposed to be buddy? I don't know. But I appreciate you following. Thank you. So we can go ahead and communicate in the future. and I've been adding in. I added in this feature today, and tomorrow we will add in the feature for adjusting the priority. But just for you, Destroy, while you're here, I'll just show you what we added in today. So right now, as you can see, that the code task should be expired. It is created on the 5th and has a due date of the 6th, which has a 1 day to complete. So if I run the program here, we added this feature to where before we launch the program, it displays our expired tasks here. And then once we quit out and then close the program, that task is removed and our days to complete is updated from, if I command Z here, from 10 to 6, right? Because we were 4 days in the future from this date created, from the 5th to the 9th. So that's working appropriately, but the priority is not being changed. So we'll implement that tomorrow. Um, but yes, this has been very successful, and we're one step further into having this be pretty much complete for version 1.0. So I know I've been rambling on for the past 5-6 minutes explaining this, but I wanted to make sure Destroy got a good idea of what we've been working on today, so that he can or they can follow along with us for tomorrow. But that's my GitHub. I have a link in the description of this stream for my GitHub, and you can pull and download this repo. It uses Cauce, so just make sure to create. I need to update the README to include a virtual environment, an optional virtual environment for downloading Cauce. Um, but yes, I think that it should be all good. But I appreciate you guys jumping in with me today. This has been super fun. I'm sorry I was MIA the past couple days. I was in bed, literally sick out of my mind. Today I don't even have a sense of taste or smell still, but I'm feeling night and day better physically. I can get up and move around. But yeah, no sense of taste or smell at the moment. It's slowly coming back. I'm about 10-15% recovered on that. But anyways, but I'll be back tomorrow and see you guys then. Thanks.